Well, joining me now is Rich Furner, who's another candidate for the position of an MLC. 5 positions are up, and on Monday we'll know. We've had your hustings, and I've been asking people since that, how do you find it? Because obviously UV MHKs like that, was it something you're used to, or was that quite challenging?
Certainly not in that form.
No.
I'm used to being interviewed, of course, but not in that manner. A very strange experience.
You did, interestingly, because you think, I mean, you're an actuary. Yeah. I think that's quite clear, and I've met some that you think...
I think that's very clear from the hustings.
Yeah. You asked a question, and you paused, and you had a really good think about it, if you're the first one to get it, for instance. Mm-hmm. Is that the way your brain is working? You really do formulate answers and think about what he's doing?
Very much so, yes.
Yeah.
I'm serious. I'm an analytical thinker. I'm structured. And I do my best to answer the question. I've seen back some of the films, and on some of the questions I didn't answer them fully, which is a bit of a shame. It's always difficult to be the first one to answer the question, because you do need time to think. If you answer the question later on, then you've got more time, you can make notes on a piece of paper and so on, and you can be more fluent in your answer.
Okay, so an actuary, is this a good fit for being an MLC? I'm sure you say yes, but you know, why?
Well, okay, I'm not going to pretend you have to be an actuary to be a member of MLC, no. Of course not. It has advantages. We are trained to think objectively about things. We are very strong on financial matters and systems matters, and I can use those skills and experience to the benefit of LegCo.
And therefore never thought about being an MHK, standing for an MHK?
Never thought about being an MHK, and I wouldn't want to be an MHK. My skills and experience are much more aligned with being an MLC. What attracted me to this role was the scrutiny, because I love doing scrutiny. For the last 9 years in my job, my role was to go to various places in the world for my business, for Zurich, and investigate matters and report accordingly with recommendations for improvement. And every time I went to a new place, I learned new stuff, and it was great fun. And I think that scrutiny of policy review and other investigative committee work is very similar to that, and I would be very good at that. So
this will be scrutiny. You don't see yourself coming up with new legislation or proposing stuff, although you did come up with quite a radical one in the hustings, and I don't think anyone's really picked up on it. But
well, they asked the question, what's your pet project? And I said decriminalisation of weed. Well, I think I said
marijuana,
cannabis and marijuana, all the same thing.
It just went straight through. There wasn't any blinking or anything. I mean, that's interesting. And have you had any more feedback since you came up with that one?
None whatsoever.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
So you would see yourself proposing some changes to law as well as just scrutineering?
If the opportunity arose, but I mean, first of all, I would speak to the relevant minister. There may not be time in the schedule to introduce such a bill. There may not be the appetite for it. I need to find out somehow what the public view is on this. I need to do an awful lot of research to find out what the advantages and disadvantages are in other places in the world where they have legalised it, before even thinking about proposing it in the Isle of Man. But I mean, the question was, what would be your pet project or pet legislation, and that would be my pet.
Okay, so if you were put on a department, would you go on one, and if so, which one would you like?
Yes, I would go on a department if the opportunity arose, and as I said in the hustings, the reason for my wanting to do that is to bring me up to speed very quickly with how government works, how the departments interact with one another. Because you see, I have no experience of government or parliament, none whatsoever.
Well, hardly anyone there has, but I think obviously one who's really standing. But you know, everyone, there's no book, is there, to read on this one?
No, I mean you can read so much, and of course I have read an awful lot over the last few weeks. But you know, being immersed in it gives you a great deal more experience. So I would like to be in a member of the department, in order to gain that experience. Also, as I said, not indefinitely, not for the whole 5 years.
Mm-hmm. And which department would you like?
Well, the one that's most aligned with my skills and experience, of course, is Treasury. Mm-hmm. But I wouldn't necessarily want to work in Treasury. Department for Enterprise sounds very interesting, and also I'm very interested in very good education for our children.
Okay.
So being in the Department of Education, Sport and Culture would also be interesting for me.
Would you make to Lord Lisvane and his proposals for the future of MLCs and government as such, but the MLCs particularly?
Well, as we all know, it's an evolving process. I think much of Lord Lisvane's recommendations have now been either adopted or disagreed to. I think we're approaching the end of that process of going through the detailed elements of Lisvane's
Are you happy
report.
with it then?
Well, yes, I am happy with it because it's a given that this is the current status of the Legislative Council. So I'm applying for this job as they have described it. I'm not going to go in and say, hey, it ought to be very, very different. No, I'm happy with the status quo.
What future would you see there? I mean, being publicly elected or continuing in this form, or having a sort of committee that puts up people in future?
Well, I think a committee that puts up people would be a good idea. So you're talking about the nominations commission. Yes, I think that would be a good idea. I don't necessarily agree that members of LegCo should be elected by the public for some of the reasons that Lord Lisvane mentioned. If LegCo members, because there are fewer LegCo members than there are MHKs, if the public elects LegCo members, then each LegCo member could say legitimately, oh, I've been voted in by more members of the public than you, so I'm more important. And some of them have come in more recently. They say I'm more recent, so you know that I should carry more weight that way.
Super MHKs, as they keep telling me.
There's another point. If it's a public vote, then the public might not vote in the best mix of people. I think it is important because of our role. Our role is very different from MHK's. So our role is predominantly scrutiny work. Yeah. So it's the backroom technical work, and it's important that the right mix of skills and experience of people are put onto that. And of course, MHKs can do that. Have you had a sort of political background in the sense of you followed what's gone on before? I mean, have you been to legislative council meetings? I confess, I've been on the island now for 18 years, but I haven't really been following politics. No. So, and is this not a political job in any way? I mean, surely I'm not attracted to it for its politics. Oh, okay. What attracts me is the scrutiny role, because as I said earlier, I love scrutiny. Okay, and I'm very good at it. Also, the fact that scrutiny work is benefiting the island, that's an attraction to me. And finally, and this is a point that I made very strongly, it will enable me, I very much hope, to investigate the financial status of the islands, the current financial position of the island, and how that financial position is forecast to play out in the future. This is my passion, and this is where my actuarial experience can bear fruit. And would you see yourself, if you didn't get successful this time, continuing the route and trying again? I mean, you know, we'll have to wait and see. Okay, you know, the next time up is 2 years' time. Sure. So I don't know. You are retired as such, are you? I am retired, yes. So what's an actuary do when you retire? I mean, I'm joking. You always keep your mind very busy, right? You must Oh, I'm always a bit busy on something. Yes. Yeah. What does a retired actuary do? Well, if he's not working, he reads his maths books. Okay. Yeah. That cliche, is it? You see this obviously as a job for you, sort of thing. I mean, that's great. Do you think the makeup needs to be broad as it is? I mean, the amount of people are standing. I mean, obviously you only saw your hustings as technically, but you know, do you think it's the right way we're going, the Isle of Man? You positive for the future? Oh yes, I'm positive for the future. Yes, I do get the impression that the current makeup of MHKs is superior to previous makeups. Right. Even though I said I haven't been in politics, I nevertheless get that impression. And what about the pay? Is the pay? I'm not doing this for the money. No. No. I'm doing it. I'm doing it because of the role. You know, the scrutiny role, doing something good for the island, and also, and this is genuinely my passion, wanting to understand better the finances of the island, the current financial position, and how it's forecast to play out in the future. Because my wife and I came here 18 years ago with 5 small children, and those children are now all grown up, and they're all still here on the island, all with partners, and some of them with their children. So it's now not just my 5 children, we're talking about 15 other people, yeah, currently.
Big dynasty.
And I would like to do my little bit to help ensure that their future is in good hands in terms of the financial future of the island.
Okay, well, I
want them to be living in a well-run island nation with its future finances on a sound footing.
Okay.
And I want to contribute to that.
Passion, I love it. We'll find out on Monday, of course, who the lucky 5 are, and that will be of interest, and well, we'll see how we go then.
Thank you, Paul.